to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, followed by our 1-hour Maxish Share What You Did wrap-up chat. Now, today being Wednesday, and I am currently in night school, our wrap-up chat is actually going to max out at half an hour. So we're only going to be here from 4:30 to 5 o'clock. That way I can make sure I can skedaddle on out of the house and get to my class on time, because traffic is crazy. All right, so in case you are new to this live stream, the way that it works is during the first 3 hours, I'm going to be working on my items. You're going to be working on your items. And so as you can see, I'm working in 2 windows that are tabbed. I do have the streams open in those tabs, but I have them set up so that I cannot see the chat. This is by design. I have OCD, and my OCD is such that if I can see the chat, I'm not getting writing done, and that would defeat the purpose of this being an accountability exercise. So instead, I'm writing for the first 3 hours, and then the final hour, or today, final half hour, that is when I go into the chat and I give you a brief summary of what all I worked on. And that is why you are encouraged during the 3 hours of writing to go ahead and pop into the chat and use it as a place to keep a running log of what it is you're working on. And that's the chat if you're watching this live on YouTube or watching this live on Twitch. Both chats are open on my end and collecting. I'm just not able to see them so that I can get writing done, you can get writing done. And yeah, let's see, I've talked about the schedule. You are going to see me 2 hours in, stop and get a snack. That's also when I switch from today. I start with supplemental logs, and then afterwards I go into some more website tidying. Over the past couple of days, I've been figuring out some stuff in order to move forward and make a go of the Penrose Trekkie. I recently, or a while back, I pre-ordered this book, Everything is Figure-Outable by Marie Forleo, and as part of the pre-order, got access to a free, for pre-orderers of the book, access to a free course that she was inspired to write when writing this. It was a chapter, and then it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and she realized this whole separate thing. It's like, oh, I'll just make it a free course for people who pre-order the book. So I'm on day 3 of the 5-day course, and whatchamacallit, it's getting me thinking about some things that are throwing my schedule a little bit, but because a big part of how I have things organized is that I work ahead, is that will hopefully it wasn't too much of a shakeup for that to come in. And so anyhow, I was doing that right before I logged on. That's why I'm like 5 minutes late. Well, 6 minutes late technically, and now we're actually 10 minutes in to our standard time. So I gotta go and make sure that, I really wish this said in the bigger letters what the timer's for. All right, so I have talked about our schedule, the split between the writing time and the talking time. Also, you're going to see that this accountability really goes 2 ways. I am not screen sharing so that you can read my work. I am screen sharing so that you know just so you know that I am writing. I am getting writing done. On your end, because this is accountability partnering, it's not set up so that you can read it. Also, remember when I said that I don't have the chat in view because it would distract me. If I had the screen set up so that you could read it on your end, that would mean my computer was in reader mode, not writer mode. And if it's in reader mode, it might as like that is effectively chat mode. Like we're all talking about my work while it's happening, except it's not happening because we're all chatting. So it would just go back into that feedback loop of I'm here to do an accountability practice, but instead I'm spending all of my time in the chat rather than actually getting work done. So it's bulk of the time getting work done, end of the time getting chat done, or bulk of the time, end of the time, because you know where you're seeing things on your end. Anyway, I'm going to set up the timers. You're also, over the course of this, likely to hear me talk to myself. Only during this opening spiel and the ending wrap-up chat do I actually talk to you, the viewer. The rest of the time, if I'm talking to the camera, I'm actually talking to voices in my head. That's just where I direct my eye contact for when I'm talking specifically to the goblin voices in my head. That's right, goblins, because I trained my brain to be fun. It's not always fun, but the bits that I'm able to train, I've trained to be fun, and so I have goblins in my head, effectively. I may also talk to other figures and toys and things in my apartment because that's where those other voices are designated to live, because I don't have visual hallucinations, it's auditory hallucinations. So I assign them places to live so that I can feel like I have some space when I go home, and then when I leave the house they're just in my head unless I bring toys with me to places. And if I do bring a toy, it's usually my old baby doll Oscar, who's back in the kitchen area because he can suck it when I'm trying to get work done. I really need more space from Oscar than any other voice in my head when I'm home alone because he's all about boundaries. I'm like, I'm home and I'm alone. You're not needed. Shut up. Though he does have some really great one-liners, not gonna lie. Anyway, I'm gonna set up the timers, get into the writing, and I will see you at the wrap-up chat to discuss what all we got done. Please use the chat to keep a running log of what you're getting done and go do those things and come back at 4:30 p.m. Like, be looking at the chat at 4:30 p.m. Be looking at the live stream at 4:30 p.m. so that we can have the wrap-up chat. All right. This was going to be right. Okay. Right. And then 13 minutes have passed. We have to subtract 13 from the 60, and that gives me 47. But then you have to do the fraction of a second, so that's actually 46 minutes. And then the seconds, I have to actually go 45, 45, and seconds, and yes, and fractions of a second, so that's going to 10. So I'm going to put that at 45 seconds, so that it's not exact, but they're not right next to each other. So it's I don't know. Okay. So now I got a snack time. Or no, that is snack time. Whoops. Because that's 2 hours from now, or 45 minutes from now, which is okay. Yes, Burkaby. Okay, so that's actually got to be 2, 44, 50. Burkaby! Okay, and this one's actually got to say writing time. And now, I don't know why I switched to talking as Cozy Rosie, but I feel it was a good transition. Guys, yeah, it was a good transition. It was a good transition to let them know that I was done talking to them, and now I'm talking to you. So we're good. We're good, guys? We're good. Okay. Now that we've made that transition vocally, we're good. I'm still talking to you guys and not to them, assuming there's anybody out there. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to you. And we're getting stuff done. Yes. I should really, yeah. Perfect. Okay. Good plan. I like the eye. Yes. Boom. I like this. This is perfect. You 100% that fits. Thanks, Bren. That's 100%. That's perfect. Perfect. Like, and I like this look. Yeah, I like this a lot better than, I mean, I know, but that's, yeah, it's exact. Yeah. This suits you. This is much more the comfort that I feel from you now versus, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Should totally 100% gonna tell Grandma Wilson about that. 100%. She would be a little, she wouldn't know how to respond, but she would instinctively respond well. Like that nervousness would trip her up, but underlying it would just be whatever floats your boat type happiness. Yeah. So totally, we're telling her. We're gonna tell her. I think that'd be a nice little thing for us to have. Yeah. You got me, girl. And I got you, literally. Whoa! No, it's fair. It's fair. It's fair. That's not my best work. All right. Gotta get this squared away so that that's not. All right. First on the can-do list that I actually did yesterday. Yeah, choice is easy. Choice is easy. Some of the design stuff is going to be finicky. Yeah, exactly. You got me. Well, I mean, you know, you live in my head. I'd be concerned if you didn't get me. Because that was always, that was the trouble. That's the only time there's trouble is when I don't get you. And so you seem to not get me, but you do. We're just, exactly. We're just on the same wavelength now. Versus that time we weren't on the same wavelength. And I was just sad all the time. Sad and other things. Yes, fair. All right. So today is the 16th. So I'll move. You know what? What if I did the admin stuff? Because the pre-supplemental, it's mostly editing. This stuff, if I could just get it out of the way as quickly as possible, because this is just about tidying the old blog posts. So I'll rewrite these as being pre-supplemental. The stuff for the blog posts, the stuff for the stuff for the blog posts, I'll go pre-supplemental. Well, no, I want, yeah, it's that rescheduling. Yeah. So if I, no, that's, I mean, could you imagine a camera on your face, a camera on Oscar's face, and then a camera on my face, and I'm doing all of the talking and talking to you two, but they can't see, they can't. That's confusing because the goblins can see you. It's the readers who can't. Well, you know, the readers, the accountability partners. It's the accountability partners who can't see you. It makes more sense that I'm talking, I don't know, maybe. We could do the view, but it's just me talking, and there's just spaces in between where your side of the conversation. Oh, Lordy. I have no idea whether or not that'd be entertaining. It's probably not. No, you and I have better, yeah. Yeah. So that's okay. So definitely got to update at least the visual of the blog posts before I do any more work on the supplementals, just so everything's consistent across the board. Really just want to get that done. And that whole thing was supposed to be done post-sonnet. This rescheduling, should I bother doing that rescheduling now, or should I wait till I'm on each of those series? I think I got to change the dates on those to be determined. Yeah. Yeah. I gotta, yeah, I don't actually know what dates I want to work on those. I definitely want to update the blog post to match things. But I don't want to do any of that rescheduling till I've gotten all the, yeah, right? Oh, sheesh McGeesh. All right, so we've got some decision making. Yeah. I know, I know, I know. You don't get a say. You're not, what? No, you do not get to jump, Oscar. No, I know. No, I have to prevent it from happening again. You're gonna jump. You at least have to jump within your corner. Rude. All right. All right. All right. So we're gonna update the blog post to match the recipes. Those were things that I wanted getting done post-sonnet. And rescheduling needs to be TBD. La 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 la. Change that to pre-supplemental. Makes me feel better. All right. And for things that okay, so for these things that currently say supplemental, like post, put secondary. I actually delete on that secondary. I have to decide what I'm doing about that. I might take it, yeah, because I mean, what's the point? Because there's going to be so many sonnets. Like who's going to want 200 mugs each with a different Star Trek sonnet, Star Trek inspired sonnet? It just, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like collect them all. Fuck that shit. Fuck it. Yeah. I know, I still gotta, yeah, yeah. I wonder what, like, this whole skirt situation with you is gonna do. Should I move you over to Snow White? No, you're right, she's busy. No, I mean, maybe for, yeah, for that, yeah. I mean, this whole, yeah. Yeah, you're cool. You're cool. I'm going crazy deciding what to do. Here, I'll at least go into the midsection while I decide. All right, so I'm going to update the blog post pre-supplemental, rescheduling the posts that go with the we're gonna check that real quick. So I do that. Percopy. Yeah, halfway through the month, and we're halfway where we were last month, which isn't too bad. It isn't too bad. Yeah, yeah, same. Clearly same. I know, I know. So, I wonder, I wonder, I wonder why each little bird has a someone to sing to, sweet things to. La da 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 da. Yeah, because I don't want that getting, oh, oh no, yeah, that's why that's gotta happen pre-supplemental. Yeah, hold off on all those decisions until after I've finished, uh, yeah, yeah, 100%, okay. Yeah, gotta get that done because that's off now. How many have we added? One, two, three, only added three, okay, so that's not too bad. So those, the top three of four, I don't think I've actually edited this. What was the last one I know I edited? Did I make a note of it? La, 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 okay, so if I go to 5, I should be able to see our Mr. Spock, how many far down he is. Our Mr. Spock. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the top of the 4 at the top of page 4, obsession, wolf, trouble, gamesters. Deadly years I should have already done. But let's double check. Yeah. Update blog posts to match recipes. Yeah. Yes, there you go. All right. Actually pull this into its own separate window so I can then start, yeah, get the trouble with troubles linking to yeah, linking to the triple nursery rhymes, and then yeah, just get just tidying and scheduling and yeah, just get that titled and then that I don't. La 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 la. if I, okay, yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good, yeah, cross-reference with this so I can at least categorize the thing. Yeah, categorize it when I don't have a date for it. That way, I don't feel like such a schmuck. What's going on? Yeah, I know. So if I, interesting, interesting. All right, so yeah, all right. Yeah, but does that go under offerings or list building? That's, yeah, yeah, right? Right? You get me? Okay, so we're going to update blog post to match recipes. We're going to have the supplemental finished, squaring away the supplemental logs. And then just work this system. Just work this system while also working, yeah, we got to get a head start on the epic. We really, it's Preptober. Yeah, Preptober full force. So that means, I know. So we got we got update blog post to match recipes. That's okay. So that is that website or communication? Well, because they're getting rescheduled. Yeah. No, you know what? I think because they'd be going out again, I think that goes under communication. I know. Yes, put those there. And those dates, that's when that needs to be handled. Just good. This, the chapbook. You know what, we'll put it in list building, and if it turns out that it belongs somewhere else, we can always move it. Yeah. As soon as we work through things, yeah. All right, so that date needs to stay. that. Yeah. I'll put those because that seems like the best place for that. All right, which means that those are so, okay. So sheet A to Z, dates followed by those categories of work. Fantastic. So then, okay, so update blog post to match recipes 1 to 3. Pre-supplemental. Then I'll work the post supplementals. And my screen is not viewable, so I can type it like this. So pre-supplemental, work on the blog post formatting, post supplemental, then do supplements for today, like for the time given, which is about an hour and a half now. And then post supplemental, final hour, go back into the schoolwork. And then when the supplements between seasons 1 and 2 are done, yeah, just put it that way. And then, okay, so in terms of that, then get a period, not a hyphen. All right. Pre-supplemental, blog post recipes, post-supplemental, schoolwork. Put me there. Or would I want to, that's more for me. I can do that for me. Yeah, all right. Speaking of for me, gotta do the check-in. I know. I gotta get better. I mean, I am getting better. See, I caught myself. Mm-hmm. I know. All right. Awesome, possum. All right, so now actually update blog post to match recipes and then continue on with that. Actually change that period to a question mark. covered. Forgot that in games there's a Triskelion. I totally. That's not right. AB, AB, C, D, D. Ah, that's right. Whoa. Brinking, bring, brinking, 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 brinking.
sweetheart, I'll make it simple.
So good.
I gave my word of honor to my dear departed sister. I gave my word of honor.
I can't watch this all the way through.
Haven't I told you that the most important thing to a peasant or a king is his honor?
Is his honor.
And the best you've got to give
For as long as you can live
is
is
your
your
honor.
honor. Is your honor.
If you promise to do something, you must do it.
it.
Though you might rue it, you must stick to it. And once you give your word, then you cannot erase it. Cannot replace it.
That
Simply
disgrace it.
that a promise is a promise. And the promise that you make is a promise you don't break. Yes, a promise
Is a promise.
I keep my word, make no mistake. Yes, a promise is a promise. And the promise that you make is a promise you don't break. Yes, a promise is a promise. To keep your word is no mistake.
So shitty. It's Little Orphan Annie. I just gotta watch the reprise of it, guys. Just.
But even a phone conversation, I advise you to come here. I thought I told you many times.
There's no copyright infringement
I am. Well,
intended. It is 100%. I just fucking love this shit so much.
Nothing, Uncle.
You know you're not supposed to interrupt. You promised. I was just giving my advisors a lesson. I think you need a lesson too. Haven't I told you that a promise is a promise?
Yes, sir.
And don't I scold you
When you forget.
Yes, sir.
Then you're not listening or paying attention. For it seems you haven't learned the lesson yet. That a promise is a promise. And the promise that you make is a promise you don't break. Yes, a promise is a promise. To keep your word is no mistake. If you promise to do something, you must do it. Though you might rue it, you must stick to it. And once you give your word of honor, don't erase it. Do not replace it. That would just disgrace it. For a promise is a promise. And a promise that you make is a promise you don't break. Yes, a promise is a promise. To keep your word is no mistake. Promise? Promise. Well, now, child.
All right. You didn't. None of us deserve it, and yet we all need it. Let's be real. Oh my God. Oh my God. And now. It's so shit. It's so shit.
It's like this. When I was a tadpole, I was such a sad pole, because I was so different from my brothers. While I was a pollywog, I never was a jollywog. I wanted to be like all of the others, but I never got my brothers. I was a too tall frog, always a too tall frog.
Miserable
And lonely all the time, teased and tormented and treated like slime. I was a too tall frog, caught in a too small bog. Everything I tried to do turned to crud. I sat upon my lily pad, felt like a dud. And all around the swimming hole, my name was mud. I was a too tall frog. And one day it happened,
You
as
know,
it happens
I
every
get the
spring.
whole Rudolph the Red-Nosed
Cranes
Reindeer
and
situation
storks
going
and
on in this song, but if he had
hurriedly
a
take
lily
wing
pad large enough
and
for his too tall
fly
frog
to the nearest frog
ass,
they find, and
he
try
has
to
no
eat every
room to
frog
complain
they
because he's got
find.
room to sit.
This year they got a big surprise when I jumped out and it scared them right back into the skies. Hooray for the too tall frog. Make way for the too tall frog. Everyone, including me, realize there's plenty of practicality in being my size. Hooray for the too tall frog. Make way for the too tall frog. Suddenly and wonderfully, my life made sense. Now I don't mind that I'm inclined to be immense. And everyone who knows me now says I am a prince. Not bad for a too tall. I'm glad I'm a too tall. Too tall.
So shitty. I'm worth every second. Like this is. Oh my god. This is the day of days. This is the day Rosie just sits and checks links. I mean, you gotta check them.
Is my heart so wildly, if you allow me to say, putting it simply,
I don't know all the rest of this one yet.
putting it mildly, my frog is on his way. This is the day of days, a day I recall always. My heart's close to stopping, I hear the clock popping. This is the day of days. Who needs a man of men? Who needs a man again? The rest will seem hollow. My green Apollo is equal to any 10. When at last we're face to face, when at last we do embrace, when at last he's here, the frog that I revere. And no kiss before or since ever turned a frog to prince, like the kiss from me when he is here. He'll be tall and strong, fragile who fills my song. My poor heart has spoken, he's all wet and broken. A lover beyond all praise. Sweet, I need you to make this the day of all my days.
Rivet. Allow me, princess.
Oh, what? Mad crush on her. Mad crush on her as a kid. Gotta check this link.
That's it. It's not fake the hole in the candle of her brain. It's break the ball in the handle of her cane.
It's a Bake the hall in the candle of her brain. It's break the ball in the handle of her cane.
Power! You've destroyed my power!
Ah!
She turned into a bird.
Now, what my sister want to go and do that for?
You see, Father, she never was your sister. She was an evil witch. But now her power is destroyed.
Daughter, I can understand you.
Yes, my spell is broken.
My daughter's spell is broken. But yours isn't.
She still has to kiss me.
And now, I think we must give thanks to these lovely little frogs.
Oh my god, it's so
In
good.
particular thanks to my dear little friend who saved us from the evil witch. He turned into a prince.
How about that? He really did. You mean he was really the Toad Prince all along?
Yes, my lord. I really am Prince Robin the Brave. And you are the most beautiful princess in all the world.
I don't understand any of this, but it seems to be ending well, so for happily ever after, I crown my daughter Queen Melora the First.
Anthems of joy.
It's so good. Ugh. Oh god.
Today, my daughter broke her spell.
Today a frog became a prince and all is well.
Today we crowned a lovely queen. Today, my friends, no longer dream.
Today you looked into my eyes.
Today we will
Oh, God, no.
cherish our...
No, I'm sorry, but that 70s tenor, I can't stand it. I can't stand the 70s tenor. I can barely stand the 80s tenor from the canon movie tale Snow White, when you have the prince at the start, when he's like coming home from all of his adventures, like singing, "Where am I going? What do I long for?" Except that he knows it because in the next line, "And where is my princess? Where is the one I long for? Long for? Where?" It's just, I can't. No. All right, well. Yeah. So many fairy tale references. This is the most fairy tale references. And it's all one fairy tale, just different versions of it. This is the most fairy tale references in a single Penrose Trekkie post. Childhood references. This whole post is just my childhood. I should add some images in there or something at some point. I'll probably at some point, because I don't plan on monetizing my YouTube channel, I'm slowly getting DVDs of all these things. So I have that Terry Garr clip that you just saw of her singing about the frog coming along, and she's got the giant croquet mallet and a rubber ball. This Once Upon a Brothers Grimm, there she is on the back of the box. This is double feature. It's also got a Pinocchio in here with Danny Kaye as Geppetto and Sandy Duncan as Pinocchio. But yeah. So I got this, and I'll probably like just upload the song and then clip to where people, and then link to where people can get the whole movie for themselves. Because, like, you just got to see the ridiculousness, you guys. You just got to see the ridiculous. Father, the frog's not a prince. Or maybe I'll do it like this, where I'm playing it and I'm just, like, singing and talking over top of it. I'll just sing along with the whole thing and ruin it for you. And that's how I'll share it. But I also got to get copies of the canon movie tales that I shared, Frog Prince, for those songs, if I want to clip those in and again sing over them again, and then maybe do the same thing with the Muppet Frog Prince. And if I'm going to get the Muppet Frog Prince, I might as well get Muppet Cinderella. I mean, come on. Come on. Oh, also the Terry Gar. I have that on DVD too. The other Terry Gar fairy tale. The one where she's a princess who doesn't understand feudalism. That's the Frog Prince episode of Fairy Tale Theater, which I highly, highly recommend. It's like, Rose, all those movies that you currently own seem to be very much easily in reach of your computer. What's up with that? I've watched them recently, all the way through, all of them, because I never stop watching them. I usually keep, actually, my DVDs behind the front door of my apartment. I have a very narrow shelf where they all just fit just so. And I keep them there so they're not in reach so I can get work done. But, you know. That does, you're right. That does sound like I was talking to people who might be watching me and not be talking to people who are inside my head. That does seem that way. But not everybody's seen The Commitments, and that's why. For anybody who is thinking that I'm talking to them instead of talking to the voices in my head right now, sometimes I talk to the voices in my head like I'm being interviewed, like the main character of the movie The Commitments. He's imagining being the guy who has the idea to put together a soul band and manage the group. He talks to himself throughout the movie as a kind of unreliable narrator, in that he's seemingly narrating the film, but it's by imagining someday when the band is huge and he's famous as a result of creating this band, that he's being interviewed about how the story of he's being interviewed about the story of how the band got to be so huge. So he's semi-narrating the film throughout. It's really cleverly done, but that is how so many of the conversations with the voices in my head go, is to talk. And because there is one voice that is constantly questioning what I'm doing, and so then I talk to myself in such a way that it sounds like I'm answering interview questions, but I'm just answering the voice in my head that always asks questions. I have no idea what their name is. So weird. Why does that voice not have a name? We got Brenna, we've got Oscar, we've got the 5 main Fraggles who all have their names. Well, you know, Wembley and Boober and Gobo and Red and Moki. You know this. Oh, no, that's fair. Moki. And yet Cotterpin Doozer as well will join in, because I'll have a chorus of Doozers when I don't have a chorus of Goblins. And the only Doozer that's, like, it's either Cotterpin and then there's Goblins, or it's just all Doozers. Like, the two converge, it's all Doozers. So who's questioning? It's not Cotterpin. Am I talking to Sprocket? I think I'm talking to Sprocket. That explains a lot, actually. Sprocket. Now I can never have a dog named Sprocket. No, you're right. I probably will anyway. Someday, eventually. No, I want biscuit and gravy. Yeah, I want 2 dogs. One is shaggy, one houndish, named Biscuit and Gravy. Because life. All right, this is updated. I gotta keep working. I only have 42 minutes. All right, so this hasn't been written yet. It's fine. It's one of the ones that gets rescheduled after it gets posted anyway. Mm. Yeah, yeah, okay. I like that warning. Spoilers are about to go down.
We've gotten lazy, but we were made to move. So move more, live more. Degree Motion Sense, made to move.
The creatures goes of Osiris goes of the destructor. Volga Sildra, the traveler, has come. Choose and perish.
What do you mean, choose? We don't understand.
Choose the form of the destructor.
I get it. Oh, very cute. Whatever we think of. If we think of J. Edgar Hoover will appear and destroy us, okay? So empty your heads. Empty your heads. Don't think of anything. We've only got one shot.
Just saying J. Edgar Hoover should have done it.
Let's
be real. Let's be real.
The traveler has come.
Nobody choose anything. Did you choose anything? No. Did you? Linus told me blank. I didn't choose anything. I couldn't help it. It just popped in there. What? What just popped in there? I tried to think. Look! No! It can't be. What is it? It can't be. What did you do, Ray? Oh, shit. It's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Well, there's something you don't see every day.
All right. The link works. The link works. Good Lord. So good.
Got a business that needs a website? I created one for my agency with Wix. I'll show you how. First, go to...
You worthless piece of slime! You ignorant, disgusting blob! You're nothing but an unstable short-chain molecule!
You're nothing but an unstable short chain.
I have seen some disgusting...
It's so good.
This is what you do with your spare time. Peter, this is an incredible breakthrough. I mean, what a discovery, a psychoreactive substance. Whatever this stuff is, it responds to human emotional states. Mood slime. Oh, baby.
You mean this stuff actually feeds on bad vibes?
Like a cop in a donut factory.
We've been running tests to see if we can get an equally strong positive reaction.
What kind of test? Well, we sing to it, and we talk to it, and say supportive, nurturing things to it.
You're not sleeping with it, are you, Ray?
Oh, you.
It's always the quiet ones.
You have.
Oh, life. Life. What's just that? That's... I may have to...
Hey guys, I'm Kate.
I'm gonna save that for myself. So if I do this, let's see it. Here we go. Go. That for later. Nothing about an unstable short change molecule. So good.
Make an impact online fast with our all-in-one control panel. Bluehost, the perfect place to WordPress.
I love all you guys. And I love Venkman. Wow.
You gotta live with this?
Real friendship.
Yeah.
Hey.
You all right?
Why am I drippings with goo?
You had a violent, prolonged, transformative psychic episode.
Sorry we had to hose you there, but you were kind of out of control. Hey, man, let me tell you something. I love you.
Yes?
Yeah.
Well, I love you too.
So good. So good. See, the villain is redeemed and brings everyone together.
How about the kinetic test?
Okay.
Ordinary household toaster.
We'll take your word for that. It responds to music, so we've been doing some experimentation, playing easy listening, middle of the road type stuff. You know, Paul Young, Dust in the Wind. That works okay.
Works
Dig
for
this.
me.
Loves Jackie Wilson.
Do you guys do this at night when I'm not here? Oh, I get it. It sings. It sounds exactly like Jackie. That's fantastic.
Just watch.
Does it do Emmy Lou Harris? Your love. Oh, it does. Whoa. Shake it up. And I'll be at your side. Oh, baby. Oh, you're my #1 Christmas boutique gift item.
Right, and the first time somebody gets mad, the toaster could eat their hand.
No. We put a warning label on it. We don't have any liability. Ah! Ow! Ow! How did you ever go for it? The old man-eating toaster. Yeah!
So, you have a cool idea, but maybe you don't know what to do with it. Easy. First things first, you...
Got what you wondered, I bet. Wonder what? Whether she's naked under that toga. She's French. You know that.
Got it. Ready with the speakers, Ray? Slime Lord's ready?
Okay, audio set. Electric set.
Slime Lord, prime, set.
Good slime. We've seen as our slime in a good mood tonight.
I hope so. She's a lot bigger than a toaster. All yours, Michael.
Thank you.
Testing, 1, 2, testing. Hey, how many of you people here tonight are a national monument? Would you raise your hand, please?
Hey,
Oh, hello, miss.
that's Frosty.
It's slime time.
Beautiful.
Come on. Spring for a weekend in Vegas with the Jolly Green Giants.
Here's something off the request line from Liberty Island. We gotta squeeze some New Year's juice from you, Big Apple. You know your love gets me moaning.
Good. Oh, it's definitely on my road trip next to this.
Man, I can't wait to see people's faces when we come on shore. This should really get the city kicking, Libby? You make this work, we'll pop for a weekend in Vegas with a Jolly Green Giant.
Pop for a weekend in Vegas.
Hey beauty, my name is Christina and I'm so excited.
All right. So good. Actually, those shouldn't need. Oh, they might. Okay, I was thinking the other supplemental locks. page that way. So that'll be for tomorrow. This one. I'll be working on school stuff for the final hour. Okay. Back to school, Rose. you just want to... I highly recommend Kate Kavanaugh's the AuthorTube channel. Hashtag ProtoBurnNaNoWriMo. Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, I highly recommend her channel.
Welcome back to my channel, and today I have a cappuccino in my NaNoWriMo mug. Ooh, it might move around over the course of the video. As well as, slightly more controversial, some candy corn. I freaking love candy corn, y'all. And I have both of those things today because I want to kind of just hunker down and chat for a bit about something that has been plaguing me, I guess. So ever since I had the idea for Project Death, ever since I sort of started to work on it back during April's Camp NaNoWriMo, what ended up happening is that people said that part of the premise reminded them of Death Note. Let me say now, I have not watched Death Note. So although I know that no real bleed over has happened yet, and I say yet because we'll get there. Do I watch it? We're gonna discuss. I did know ahead of time that, like, the idea of having a god of death ruling over something is nothing new in fiction, nor is the importance of names. The actual inspiration was that my dad and his friend were having a conversation, and his friend kept, like, talking about someone, and then they'd find out, like, a couple weeks later that that person then up and died. So I took that, I kind of thought about Rumpelstiltskin. I just love death. I'm gonna use another example here in a minute where that makes more sense than I'm just saying that, but I love death. What can you do? So anyways, the thing is that I know part of my project is not original, right? Is anything original? That's the question I am posing. What is original? After the thousands of years that human history has been recording and transcribing stuff, not even just like passing down stories verbally, which this is where when I ponder about the universe, it just seems so vast and I feel so small, which is great and wonderful, but also just like my mind almost can't comprehend how many people have walked the earth before me. Oh man, okay, that's not the point. Is the coffee gonna help, or is that I feel like I'm already kind of up here? Anyways. Okay, originality. There have been so many millions of stories told, so many millions of stories read and heard and loved and enjoyed, that the idea that someone can come up with something kind of revolutionary seems absurd and a little bit egotistical in some ways too. Like, are you telling me that you are doing something that no one else has ever done before? And let's go ahead and like use vampires as an example here. I know it's easy, but that's what we're gonna do, because vampires as a concept, not original, not now, but I mean, you have frickin' Anne Rice vampires, you have Stephanie Meyer vampires, you have Nosferatu vampires, you have Renee Audier is coming out with a new young adult book that has vampires in it, hopefully bringing a new wave of supernatural. That's what I want to get in my life. Anyways, the point is, every evolution or every writer is going to have a different take on vampires, which when you really think about it, is a very specific subset in itself. So when we're talking about originality, it's like, oh, it's vampires that do X, or like a supernatural boarding school. How many supernatural boarding school stories have there been? A lot. I know, because I have read them, because I love them. And I would be so upset if some of my favorite writers didn't do their take on a supernatural boarding school because it had been done before. And that's kind of the heart, I guess, of what I'm trying to get to, because I don't think this is a pep talk. Is this a pep talk? It's kind of a pep talk. It's a pep talk for me. I think especially going into NaNoWriMo, there's already a lot that feels stacked up against you, and to be told that your story isn't original, or to like realize that your story isn't original, can feel kind of crushing. But the whole point of my earlier tirade is that nothing is original, and it's always going to be your take on it, right? Like that part of it isn't new. It's just something that I think writers, we always have these insecurities that we're going to struggle with, and that's just a recurring one, that no matter how many stories you've written before, some part of you is always going to worry that someone else has done it before you, someone else has done it better than you, someone else has done it before you and better than you, someone else in the future will one day do it way better than you. Like, it's just all of these things, right? So I guess what I'm trying to tell myself and what I'm trying to tell you guys in this crazy, not a pep talk, is to not let that be an obstacle during NaNoWriMo. And as you're writing, if it's not a project you've written before, as you're writing, there's so much that can evolve that even if you do have, like, in quotes, a simplistic idea, like, even if your idea was a vampire at a boarding school, you're gonna make that so different than I would make it right now. Even, like, a vampire is attending a boarding school for the first time, and they're on an adventure to find their missing friend who's been stolen for blood. I don't know. Anyways, you could have all of those things and we would still, everyone watching, would still create entirely different stories, not just in tone and overall message, in the way the characters act, behave, what they're after, what they want, what they desire, like all of these things, right? They'd be so many different stories. It's hard when I know that, and yet I can still be nervous sometimes when I think about Project Death and wonder if Death Note has done it way better and before me. And millions of people have loved Death Note, so I'm just sitting here like, uh-oh. But also, I should say that even the people who have told me that it sounds like Death Note have, again, kind of like with vampires or with like supernatural boarding schools, been really excited for my story, because the people who like Death Note, that might be perfect for me to use as an example, saying like my story's like a Death Note meets whatever, to give people an idea so that if you like Death Note, maybe you'll really like my story and the changes that I've made or the ways that the stories are different. So maybe it's like changing the mindset from a negative to a positive. Anyways, I guess I felt like I needed to do this to get it off of my chest. And also, I'm contemplating and maybe want advice on if I should actually watch Death Note. Maybe as part of my prep. Maybe to see what they did and like, would it put what fears I still have to bed if I watch it and actually our stories are nothing alike. Because really, the similarities are like one person can kill, I think there's like a god of death, and also like there's names can be traded kind of thing. But having said all of that, like mine follows this main character who's maybe in love with her best friend, who's having to deal with this house of assassins, keeping her own secret, and also wondering why maybe she's able to do these things. And maybe all of those elements are in Death Note, I don't know, but it'll be one of those things that like, yeah, we're gonna go back to, I'll still tell it different, oh my god. So this is great, cool, awesome. Should I watch Death Note? What would you do, fellow writer? Would you consume the thing that you've heard your story is like, or should I not do any of it for fear that it actually infiltrates my own story when it wouldn't have before? Because when I'm reading and writing at the same time, I purposely avoid reading young adult contemporary when I'm writing a young adult contemporary, you know what I mean? So maybe for me this is a bad idea, but for you, could it potentially be a good idea? When you hear that there are like comparables, let's say, within the marketplace for your book, do you seek out those comparables so that you know and can explain how yours is different, the twists that you have that they don't have, etc.? Does that make sense as an actual question? Another kind of part of this discussion that I've had happen to me before is with the Cassandra Clare books. They're called Shadow Hunters, and way back when, before I knew of the existence of these books, though certainly not before the actual existence of the books, I just hadn't read them and didn't hear about them. I'm talking like early 2010s. I also had a book that I wanted to make that also dealt with death in some capacity. This is where, is this a sign? Am I just really into death? Maybe I'm trying to work through something, I don't know. But the main character was a shadow hunter, someone who went around. It's kind of like a ghost hunter. It's kind of like a, you know, again, not necessarily an original idea, but the actual term for them was shadow hunters. And so then when I found out about Cassandra Clare's books, it did put a little bit of a stake in that story for me, if only because I'd been so set on the shadow hunters thing at the time that trying to come up with something that else I wanted to call them could not do. So it's just a very interesting thing having said that, I have gotten ideas for this story that I have logged in that document since then, and it's changed. That's the fun thing. No longer shadow hunters. The story is now actually an adult novel. Like, all of this stuff I'm contributing to, and I don't know that I would have done that or made those changes were it not for the fact that I had to wait and give myself time to get over the hurt of losing that term. So, yeah. Yeah, this was a rambling kind of discussion. Please do comment down below. What would you do? Do you read comparables that are similar to your work? Do you try to avoid them if someone tells you about them? How do you...
Okay, you know what I want to check before I get into schoolwork? The thing I want to check on the YouTube. Is okay, so this was her.
On my end, we'll see. Oh, good, I see Jessica in there, so she can tell me if I'm live or not. She's always like, stop talking. On my...
Okay, yeah, I see us now.
Yay. Okay, good. Hello, everyone.
Scrolling
Becca
through the
and
transcript
I
of them
ready
talking
to
to see when they stop talking and get into prep mode.
Kind of. I guess this is a just right off the bat. Becca, where are you at in your prepping?
Well, I've had a couple setbacks. Not bad setbacks, just setbacks. It's because you know, the book I'm co-writing with my friend. She on October 1st was like, okay, I'm done with my pass, and I'm like, oh, and so I'm like excited because it's our third and last book, but we did decide that I needed to add 2 chapters.
Yeah. Hey, are you ready, Becca?
Yes.
They write for 15 minutes.
Okay, and start. All right.
And then, so they talk for half an hour.
How did you do?
A little over half an hour.
Good. I'm working on the third girl's
almost 40 minutes,
outline.
And then they sprint for 15
This is
minutes,
the
and then how long they talk
more
again?
Character driven than plot driven.
Yeah.
Love driven.
I'm excited. I always love I appreciate a good love story.
Well, I figured like it needed it, you know?
Yeah. I've read, and I like plenty of stories that don't have that element, but there's something to be said when you have 3 main characters that one of them might have.
Yeah, I mean, and if there's just really no...
15 minutes again. After 20 minutes.
All right. I was trying to tell it to calm down. I got it.
So how'd you do?
Pretty good. I've switched now to going through the timeline. I have 3 whole plot points I've created. So some of that
will do a lot of nano.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
And they have some kind of thing where they're able to put words across the bottom. Yeah. I don't hang out like in the chat during other people's write-ins. I don't know how the hey. Interesting. Isn't that hard to believe? Bum, bum. Also, views is not the same thing as visitors. Ooh. Let's get back to your schoolwork, Rose. How about that? Did I read it just the right in time? Yeah, I got that. Okay, good. Everybody's riffing off of this line from the poem, and nobody's writing their own shit. Like, one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's almost a word sonnet. Love has wings, slender, feathered things, with grace in upswept curve and tapered tip. So, the poem that started it all. It can't be a word sonnet because it's 15. Okay, anywho, it's time for the wrap-up chat. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give a brief summary of what all I got done, and then I'm going to pop into the chat to see what all you got done. If you have not been keeping a running log in the chat of what it is you were working on while you were working on it, now is a good time to pop in the chat and do so. Our chat is only going to run till 5 o'clock instead of 5:30 today at the latest. 5 o'clock at the latest, because I have night school. I have to log off in time to get in the car and drive over. So you go ahead, type in the chat what you were working on today. I'm gonna, while I let you know what it is I was working on. So first I came in and I did lots of just decision making using my mission control spreadsheet over here, recategorizing certain tasks for the ones that don't, recategorizing those tasks that aren't on schedule yet because they're not high priority right now. And figuring out the best way to keep the schedule of things moving forward, because I had been writing sonnets up until snack break and then working on school stuff after that. And then I got to the between season bit of the animated series of Star Trek and decided to work on the supplemental logs that will get posted in the months in between seasons 1 and seasons 1 and 2. And I forgot to like separate first 2 hours, your main task for the PenroseTrekkie.com to get the posts and everything squared away for the project, and then the final hour work on the admin, work on the school stuff in the background. So I was going out of order and not as organized over the past few days. Also just stuff going on schedule-wise that messed with the timing of even getting here on time. Yesterday, and still today as far as I can tell, the washing machine in my building needs mending, so I had to find someplace else to do my laundry yesterday morning, and the machine that I was using takes longer than the machine that I have here in my building, so like the whole schedule was thrown. And then before that was, you know, my period, so that just likes to throw the wrench in the works altogether, especially because I made the mistake of buying cereal that had refined sugar as a pretty major ingredient to snack on while on my period, and it just, whoa, the way that threw me through a loop, the way that affected my brain and my body was not great. So not going to be doing that on any periods in the future. So I started today getting reorganized, getting squared away, deciding on a new figure in which to pose, in which to have a voice. You're gonna be my sprocket. Now I have two. I hear voices, so I set things up around the apartment in such a way that there are inanimate faces that I can turn to speak to when I hear certain voices speaking to me in my head, just so I can just say, this is where you live, this is where you live, and basically give myself headspace from the voices. Oscar's back there. He tried to sneak in over here because I had Piggy, a stuffed animal, not a voice. Piggy's not a voice. Piggy's just a stuffed animal. Here on the coffee table, no. So I put Piggy over where Oscar is so that Oscar couldn't jump to Piggy and usurp. And yeah, it was a fun little conversation with myself for about 5 seconds. All right. Then I went into, like, after I got myself squared away, started in on the work that I had listed. So I started updating blog posts to match recipes. So the recipes are basically how I like things formatted in the blog posts for the penrosetrekkie.com to make sure that everything is cohesive and has a good solid readability. And you can really tell, or I can tell some things about where my head was at as I was working through certain episodes based on how much wordier they get and how much more concise they get, and I was actually able to pull a couple of lines from some blog posts here in the blue. I know you can't read them, but I pulled some individual lines from blog posts that I think might be cool to have on t-shirts or stickers at some point. T-shirts, magnets, stuff. So logged those as I went. Then snack time happened. I was just like a minute late to snack time because I wanted to make sure that I finished a whole page worth of blog posts in the admin section of WordPress. And then came back, checked out a Preptober video by a NaNoWriMo alum person who has an AuthorTube channel, Kate Kavanaugh. I recommend her. Just wanted to check that out. And then I went and was working on school stuff on my iPad, which the thing I'm working on right now, the task, the exercise it has me going through is the story behind the project, the story behind the website, the story behind why I'm working on the Penrose Trekkie project as a whole. I'm going to turn off the light because it's very dark in here. So for those of you who don't know, the story is I was graduating college. I was finishing college. My sister was getting married to a Trekkie from a family of Trekkies. And I decided to give the reboot movie, the first of the reboot films that was showing on the sci-fi channels with commercial breaks, with being reformatted for the television, decided to give it a chance. And it was good enough, even in that form, all chopped up the way it was, that I wanted to give the first couple of episodes of the original series a chance. So I did. And a couple episodes into the original series, somebody quotes a poem and states that it's an interesting poem. It was an interesting poem for the other person to have selected for this test that they were doing, and in the medical bay, or whatever you call it. And he said that the poem was one of the most passionate, quote, one of the most passionate love sonnets. Down here. One of the most passionate love sonnets of the past couple of centuries, unquote. And I thought to myself, well, challenge accepted. And so I was trying to find the original poem in total because I remember looking up the poem when my brain first went challenge accepted because I wanted to read the whole sonnet and see what it was what my benchmark was going to be. And the thing is that it's not a sonnet. It's actually a poem that Gene Roddenberry wrote for a plane that he flew in World War II. And that's cool. I have no problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that it was called a sonnet, and now I have no sonnet to read. And I'm trying to find, because I know I found a full poem, like the full version of the poem, not just that one stanza. And I remember finding that and it not being 14 lines, and therefore knowing it was not a sonnet, because a sonnet has to be 14 lines. There are word sonnets that have one word per line, which the quoted poem is almost a word sonnet because it's actually 15 words. My love has wings, slender feathered things with grace in upswept curve and tapered tip. That's 15 words. So unless you put one of those words actually shares a line. So you have another sonnet form that over those centuries was created. But again, how is that if it is just those 15 words, if it's a almost word sonnet, if some kind of variation on the word sonnet that, and I would put tapered tip on the same line because they start with the same letter. Like you're allowed two words on the same line, like a variation where you have two words starting with the same letter as the end of your sonnet, like a boot sonnet. That's, look, if we're going to name that a sonnet form, let's call it the boot sonnet. Or, name it after the guy who did it, that they say did it. What's his name? It says here, Tarbold. Or Phineas. So it's a Finian sonnet. The Finian sonnet is that it's a word sonnet, except that the 14th word is actually two words that start with the same letter. So, yeah. Tapered tip. I think that'd be fun. Anywho, but that can't, like, if that's the whole sonnet, it can't, I don't see that as being particularly passionate with that one line. My love has wings, slender feathered things with grace in upswept curve and tapered tip. That doesn't seem particularly passionate to me. You're just that, because it's a statement of what is. It's not as evocative as you would expect the most passionate sonnet written in the past couple of centuries to be. So anywho, I was trying to track down that poem, and apparently lots of other people are trying to track it down online. And apparently over the last few years, a lot of people have taken those 15 lines, those 15 words, and tried to write their own sonnet around them. But some people have written like full-on just poems that are clearly not sonnets because they don't know the rules of sonnets. So, here, I'm gonna, Nightingale Woman, Anatomy of a Sonnet. Just write, do this in all caps in order to make sure that that ends up somewhere in my to-do list as something to make. A little download of a guidebook to currently known sonnet forms. And I'd have to do more research to see if anybody actually looked into how a sonnet is written and tried to fit it into a sonnet. But like the number of syllables don't quite, it's not even a full couplet either, because it goes, my love has wings. And clearly this is the start of the sonnet. It makes the most sense that this quote would be from like the start of the sonnet. My love has wings, slender feathered things with grace in upswept curve and tapered tip. So if this is some sort of English sonnet, there should be 10 syllables to a line. If it's an unrhymed sonnet, then these 4 lines should actually be written out as 2 lines so that they represent a couplet in the poem, so that you have 10 syllables, 11 syllables, and then that's logical. There's so many ways in which this could be the start of a sonnet, and really only one way it could actually be a sonnet on its own, but in the original form, and I'm trying to track down the whole poem, it's just not actually a sonnet. But that was what, and so I want to find that so that I can link to the whole poem, particularly for the Nightingale Woman Anatomy of a Sonnet thing that I've been planning a thing in my head for codifying the anatomy of a sonnet download or mini course or whatever for a while, and now because this was the sonnet that got this whole thing started, I want to figure out, I want to find the whole poem so I can share that as an example of, this is not a sonnet, but here's how the line shared from the episode, if separated from Roddenberry's poem and instead believed to be part of a sonnet by Phineas Tarbold, here's the different ways that Phineas Tarbold could have finished this out into a full sonnet over the last few centuries. Here's anatomically, in terms of a sonnet, how it could be fleshed out into a whole poem, into a whole sonnet rather. Just because I think that'd be a fun thing to make. So I want to do that. But I have as homework here, I gotta write down the story of how this whole thing started. And Gary Mitchell said that Nightingale Woman is one of the most passionate love sonnets from the past couple of centuries, And I just thought, challenge accepted. And I started blogging my way through the original series and the films, writing Pushkin sonnets as I went. Because again, the reason I looked up this sonnet wasn't just to see what I was comparing, what I was going to be, what my benchmark was for the most passionate sonnet. I also wanted to know what sonnet form, because I know there's so many sonnet forms. I wanted to know which one this sonnet is in order to decide what kind of a sonnet what sonnet form I was effectively going to master and just create the most passionate thing ever in response to accept the challenge. And it's not a sonnet, so I don't know what sonnet. So I had to figure out what sonnet form to do myself, and I decided that I liked the Pushkin, and I thought it would be a good nod to Chekhov, since his character doesn't show up till season 2. So I was going through the whole of season. I was watching season 1. It's like, where is Chekhov? It's like, oh, okay. It's like I got a couple of episodes in. I was a couple episodes in, somebody's talking about the most passionate love sonnet ever written. I'm like, challenge accepted. And then I noticed, where the hell is Chekhov? Chekhov is nowhere to be seen. So I'm like, you know what? Russian sonnet form. Here we go. And I might actually use the Russian sonnet. I would love to use the Russian sonnet to write an epic. I would love to write a sonnet sequence that is actually the Russian epic Cinderella, because I think that would be fun too. Maybe someday I'll do that, maybe not, but that's a fun idea to me. Anywho, so I was working on that exercise from the online course that I signed up for at the start of the year, and am redoing now to make sure that I work each and every step, even the ones that don't seem like they apply to my work as a writer. Giving myself that challenge to see how it could be adjusted to apply to me as a writer in order to keep those creative juices going and to keep me moving through the coursework. So that's what I got done today. What did you get done today? There is no one in the chat. The one person who was here when I said I'm going to do my brief summary, while I do that, write things in the chat so that we could talk, has left. Were you scared? Did you not do anything? That's cool. There's always tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining me today. I'm Rose Jermusyk, your live stream writing accountability partner, here weekday afternoons from 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, followed by our 1 hour max to share what you did wrap up chat. For the foreseeable future, that's when we do this. And I look forward to seeing you next time and to talking about what I'm working on and what you're working on, and how we can continue to move forward on these things, even when you get stuck. Because I promise you, whatever it is you're doing, you could always make it a poem, because you can write a poem about literally anything. Thank you very much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Later, neighbors.